Top 25 is already out. James hit us up from Oklahoma City. He said, did you vote in this preseason On3 top 25? If so, explain yourself. I didn't know that it was happening, which is smart because I probably would not have gotten my vote in time. But it is true that at On3, they took, as best we could tell, 5 or 6 different contributors, and they all submitted their top 25, their way too early top 25 for this upcoming year. And then they threw it all in a blender, poured it out, and this is what transpired. So someone in the comments and the replies to the tweet, they pointed out that this time last year, the fine folks here at On3, they also did a way too early top 25 this time last year. And they were trying to hate on it by saying number 21 versus number 23 ended up being the national title game. I'm like, I don't think that's the flex you think it is. Did you have Indiana and Miami 1 and number 2? I don't think you did. I don't think anyone did. Now, a lot of people will take that to be evidence that there shouldn't be preseason rankings, which is foolish to me, and I'll explain why in a second. So it's always important to state the goal of a top 25. We go over this drill every August. I guess we could do it in January too. What is your goal if you're doing a top 25? What is your goal? First thing we got to establish, are you doing power ratings or are you doing rankings? So are you doing like neutral field favorability, or are you just ranking them, as if you were an AP voter? That's the first thing. This is the latter. This is true rankings. Number 2, are you doing a real time? Like, are you ranking Ohio State number 1 and Oregon number 6 because that's how you think they'll start the season? Or are you ranking Ohio State number 1 and Georgia number 2 because you think that will be the national championship game matchup, and therefore that's how I'm going to have it in the preseason? In other words, are you projecting with your rankings? So you always have to establish that. And there can be differing points of view on that. Like, I don't do the projection thing. If I thought that LSU was going to start the season slow but really get their act together mid-season and then surge towards a national championship, I wouldn't rank them number 1 to start the year. If I were projecting, I would. So, Texas and Notre Dame. Someone had a point to make about that. In fact, several people had points to make about several of these teams. So Brandon hit us up. He said, man, why do they just inject Texas and Notre Dame into top 5 spots? They did nothing to deserve that preseason. No one's done anything to deserve anything preseason, Brandon. Again, according to the way I view rankings, how could you have done anything to deserve any preseason ranking? To me, there should be no carryover. It's not like you won the world championship belt at SummerSlam, so you still have it on your shoulder at Survivor Series because no one's beaten you for it. You're not defending anything. There's no carryover. Your roster's not the same. Nobody's roster is the same. And even if your roster was the same, there's no carryover. So as long as every team starts 0-0 the following season, how have you earned anything? The detractor will listen to me and say, you just provided the entire evidence that there shouldn't be preseason rankings. I didn't. I just provided logic behind the fact that what you did last year shouldn't really have a bunch of bearing on how you rank a team this year. So Texas is going to be a loaded roster this year. Arch Manning ended the season very strong. They went hard in the portal. Marcus Freeman's got, first off, a workable schedule, and secondly, probably his best team to date. Those are the reasons why you may want to put Texas and or Notre Dame top 5. That's it. That's the only merit you need in January. No one's played a game. What about the Penn State tweet we saw? A lot of feedback on this. For people who don't care about preseason rankings, there was a lot of feedback on this. Someone said, this always ages so poorly. See Penn State literally every year. I've noticed the folks who use the crying laughing emoji disproportionately are making bad points. That's what I've noticed in my own replies. Penn State, most years, has been fairly properly rated. Last year was a glaring outlier. But again, it ages poorly only if you're treating preseason rankings as something that has to hold up top to bottom at the end of the year, or else hashtag you don't know ball. Did anyone whose opinion you would even fractionally respect have Penn State outside their top 10 or top 15 at the worst preseason last year? I didn't see anyone. Everyone had them up there. They're just going to be outliers every year. Penn State was just an outlier. I mean, they had all the metrics that you would think you need to check. They got an extremely experienced, highly paid coaching staff. They got a veteran-laden roster. They made a few key additions to the portal in the one area that you thought was one of the remaining areas they lacked, which was wide receiver. All the indicators were there. They lost the Oregon game, and it completely tore the dam. That was the Penn State story. If anyone claims that they saw that coming, you be my guest. You show me, hey, do me one favor right here. Look down. Are you subscribed to the channel? If you are, thank you. If you're not, please click subscribe. It helps us keep the show free and free of corporate interference. All right, that's it for me. Back to the clip. Your work, first off, I want to see the work. I want to see your preseason rankings last year. I don't think it aged poorly at all. I just think a college football season happened. You take whoever you think the smartest football mind in the world is, have them write their preseason rankings in January or August, I don't care, and then hold it up to the light in January and look at how frequently you could pick that apart if you wanted to, which brings me to my next point. Well, not my point. Someone else made a point. I just want to react to it. It has to do with the B word. Bias. Someone's claiming bias. Quote from someone else. Rankings shouldn't start until week 6. Rankings dictate so much outcomes in the season, and the bias towards certain programs isn't fair. With the transfer portal, it is too hard to know how good teams will be. This in no way invalidates the concept of why you would want preseason rankings. It just means your methodology has to be sound. So take Penn State last year, for example. There's nothing wrong with using your best judgment and using it to rank Penn State number 4 to start the season, as long as, here's the important part, as long as you're willing to adjust them on the fly, and as long as you value the results on the field way more than your preconceived notions. Because at that point, it really doesn't even matter if bias was involved. It really doesn't matter if you were disproportionately biased towards big-name programs, and you really did so at the expense of not giving a second look to Indiana. Once Indiana starts winning, and once Penn State starts losing, as long as you move them appropriately, and as long as you value one football game's outcome more than 6 months of you sitting around talking and reading magazines, it's fine. What the bad part is not everyone feels that way. There are some folks out there who traffic in preseason rankings, and then they get married to their preseason ideas, which aren't based in any games that have actually been played. And then they stick to their preseason conceptions in spite of actual evidence on the field to the contrary. Now, that's a problem. And those sorts of people aren't to be taken seriously. But as long as you're not that way, I don't really care. As long as you're willing to adjust on the fly, I don't care. So my personal thoughts on this. Thought number 1, I'm not ready to put out my preseason top 25. Point number 2, Penn State's number 14. I kind of get it. Some people said they looked overrated. I kind of get it. Their schedule's workable, which shouldn't matter here, but let's be real. A lot of people make it matter. But the Iowa State imports and the fact that I believe in Matt Campbell and the fact that they're not ranked 4th, they're ranked 14th, I'm okay with that. USC looks low to me at 19. If Lincoln Riley's going to make some serious playoff noise at USC, next year will be the year they do it. And I think they may start the season off in a really good place. Gary Patterson as a defensive coordinator, I love the hire. We didn't talk a lot about that. I love the hire. So USC, I think, is kind of low at 19. And look at the start to their season. They get 3 games that should be, all due respect to Fresno State, should be fairly good tune-up games. For Ohio State, actually, that's not even scheduled, is it, Jesse? Wait a second. Do we know? I hear you. Do we know when they're going to announce the dates? Okay, we should go back to segment 1. We got to do better at schedule releases. I didn't even know that the Big 12 announced their schedule release the other day. It just kind of randomly popped up on a graphic somewhere, and I said, wait, did they release their schedule? Come to find out they did. So I take that back. We don't know when USC is going to play Ohio State. Oh, by the way, January 27th is when it comes out. Okay, so 5 days from now. Oh, man, we got work to do. Think about the viewpoint of USC, by the way. So USC knows that they're going to go to Penn State, to Rutgers, and to Wisconsin. They could be going to Madison, Wisconsin in early September. They could be going to Madison, Wisconsin in late November. They don't really even know. It could be 72 degrees, it could be 12 degrees, and they don't even know. And that's tough. Lincoln Riley, do you guys think he lives a cushy life? And he does. But man, that schedule. There's wild fluctuation in the potential outcomes. Anyway, I think USC's a little low at 19. Washington at 18, I have no idea what to expect with the dynamic there. If I had a quarterback who looked me in the eye and said, I'm with you, and then he sprinted towards the door and throwing up the deuces the whole way, yelling, suckers, and then he runs face first into the door and realizes, oh, it's locked. And then he turns back around and tries to come back over here and sit with us like nothing happened. I don't know, man. I just don't think it would be the most fun spring ball period I've ever been through. So I don't know what the dynamic's going to be there. And there is one team not listed here that I think could be a big-time wild card type team this year, and that's the Auburn Tigers. So I'm not saying they should be top 25. I'm just saying that I may place them ahead of a few teams that are in the top 25, which is essentially me saying I think they should be in the top 25. So there you go. You asked, I delivered. Those are my thoughts.